we are streaming.
I told Tom already, but I apologize for forgetting about our last meeting.
You know,
Yeah, makes our disciplinary.
I kinda like having the extra room.
Oh,
You get spread out.
I knew about it, I had it wrote down, and then the day of, I'm like, got extremely busy and so,
That was that day after all the
Sorry.
snow.
Mm-hmm.
You only spent
oh,
most of the day
yeah,
Monday moving snow. I think.
right, Monday was messed up, yeah.
5:00, Mr. Chair.
All right, we'll call to order. We'll start with roll call.
Erickson here,
Grant here,
Imker here.
Keel here,
Warner here.
and Jacob. We stand for our pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I think everybody got a copy of the agenda. If you wanna, we have a motion to approve our agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Megan makes a motion to approve the agenda. We have a second.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Bruce. All in favor to approve our agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to approve our agenda. I don't show any old business noted here, and
Hey, I have an old business thing that I thought of. Where are we at with the solar power grant?
It's still, the application's been submitted.
Okay,
We just have to wait until they approve applications.
what was the timeline on that?
I think they approve applications in April, so we should know by the end of April. We did meet the deadline.
that'd be good.
And remind me, was that 100%?
Yes. There's two grants, one was federal and the other one was a supplement from Excel.
Yeah, we just started Jake and she just was asking about the solar grant, so.
I also talked to Troy earlier and he told me he probably wouldn't be here either tonight, so I should have said that when you said Jake was gonna be late.
Yeah, I forgot to note that too, cause he called me, so. But. Kind of stall a little bit, are you good to start?
Good enough, yep.
Alright. Our first line of agenda on the new business would be call for sale of bonds. I guess I can welcome Shelby to come up to the floor to help us out on this, or
Alright, yes.
Ehlers, is that how you take it? I always call it Ehlers, or is it Ehlers?
Others.
Yeah,
Thank you.
as long as we spell it correct.
Okay, well, so, bonds were sold, so, that's kind of where we're at today and real comfortable with where, your interest rate came in. So the path to get there was a little bit, long. We were, set to negotiate with the bank in town as you directed, and I can understandably, they had provided a variable interest rate, so like a reset after a period of time. And, just based on what we'd seen from other districts getting that, I just wasn't comfortable recommending that. It was best to go with just a flat interest rate for the whole term. And so what we did, they wanted to start off at 5%. What we did was just send out an RFP to several banks, and then including Wanda State Bank, and then you got 3 proposals, so they're included here. The low bid was 4.05%, so compared to what we were looking at, like a $65,000 payment each year out of your operating capital, we came in closer to a $60,000. So even that $5,000 just frees up a little bit of room in your operating capital budget each year, and real favorable terms overall. So kind of nice to see that multiple banks, were interested in this, and the 15-year term overall, so that's altogether what is provided here in the attached. So, we finalized the legal and fiscal costs as part of that. There were no bank fees involved. The ultimate deposit to the construction fund will be $641,715. So, a nice sum of money just to kind of help wrap up the project costs that you have overall. So the winning bidder came out of Citizens Bank of Roseau, actually. So that, and then we received another bid out of Winstead. So the action item tonight is really just the award of the sale to Citizens Bank of Roseau, and I have all the documents with me to sign that. We had originally planned to kind of wrap this up at the beginning of the month, get the money this week, but the bond attorney, Peter, and others had just with the delay, still think we can wrap it up and get the funds by April 1st, so that's what the plan is. So thanks for coming along and pivoting when we needed to, I think, for the best interest of the taxpayers.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
To be clear, I guess the bond is callable anytime, so it's pretty much equal for the public, I mean, we can pay that early with no.
That's correct,
Penalties.
there's no prepayment penalty, you'll just pay the amount and then the calculated interest going forward, so semi-annual principal payments, annual interest payments, annual principal payments, semi-annual interest payments, so yep, you'll just pay that whenever, I think, probably getting back maybe 5 years down the road, making sure we have enough correction to the budget overall, and then we'll probably be looking to see what you can do to kind of make that up and pay that off early if possible.
So when you have your initial deposit to construction fund, since we shifted that into the general fund, that would go into the general fund, right?
Bill, so
To pay the
the,
construction.
there's still project costs, yeah, so, you'll just pay those
Out of the
yeah.
general,
It should go right into unassigned, but then we'll start paying those bills.
okay.
And then, the first payment would be, it's due February 1st to 27, and that goes all the way through February 1st to 41, so in 20,
Yep.
that's how it's. I don't know if there's any other questions or anybody sees for her.
Is that a hard time,
Do you mean as far as,
February? Cause isn't the big debt service payment due in February too?
yes, but that's a different tax. So that comes out of the referendum bond, so those bonds that's a payment we get monthly, property tax, and we pay in February, that accumulates. So we pay it in February and it starts accumulating again when February comes around, and that is a restricted, comes out of a restricted.
I'm just thinking like cash flow wise, like are we gonna have enough money to pay both of those payments in that
We
month?
should, and we still have that,
Oh, the
line of credit as well.
Oh, yeah,
We've kind of done it both ways over the years, and what school districts, accounts payable tend to find is that it's just nice to know that all of your debt payments are due
in the same
at the same
month,
time.
yeah.
So, it's managing the portion that comes from, state aid through the ag credit, and then the portion that comes from the property taxes, and making sure that flow is overall. And then, that tends to be, this payment at least, will just be sort of that add-on to the big general fund payment, or not general fund, school building bond payment. And then the managing the overtime is really just making sure you're making payroll, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yep.
So on this one, I guess, to be clear on, that are they gonna expect, if we can pay it off half, way early, they gonna expect that full interest amount that's listed
The amount that's accumulated to that,
to that date?
yeah, to
Okay,
that
just
date.
making sure that they weren't, just some of them,
No, that's sort of
yeah. each
there
of
there actually was no prepayment penalty
Okay.
incorporated in this. Sometimes you see a prepayment penalty that sort of goes down over time, but
Yeah.
there's none of that here.
Making sure on that, cause I know you see, just depends how they word everything and whether they want their planned interest and then they get you for.
No, this will be a good situation to be in, either way. You know, if you can, it's a low enough interest rate that if you let it ride, it's okay. If you look on the back page, you can see your operating capital will be increasing over time, so the amount remaining is what's increasing over time because we cut the payment on the bond level. So as you get out to, 2034, you'll have more in your operating capital account. You haven't taken that up with debt payments.
Okay.
And then if we have like 10,000 extra dollars, we can pay, so. Or do you got, if you pay it early, do you gotta pay all of it early?
Yes, and that tends to be the way that it is done. Although I'm gonna come back to you with that question.
So the question's whether if we got room to pay an extra 10 grand a year.
My guess would also be no.
Yeah, it tends, because it's a bond,
Yeah.
So,
kind of-
yeah.
it's actually a sinking fund payment, so it would just sit there, and if it accumulated more, you'd pay it up early, but if it's just,
Yeah, okay. I got you.
yeah.
Kind of an unrelated question, and I'm just curious if you've ever had any exposure to it, but, and I had mentioned this to you, Tim, too. I was Googling stuff one weekend and came across a USDA grant for situations where you can borrow at zero interest in situations where you did not get FEMA money for the same FEMA project. Do you have any exposure to that, or have you had any other schools that have taken advantage?
So I would say probably, but that doesn't really enter the equation when the debt comes into play.
Okay,
So it may be sort of after the fact. So often those federal grants require, like the FEMA, right? You have to be shovel ready and practically near completion, and but not too much according to FEMA, right?
yeah,
So we don't sometimes get exposed to that early on in the process of the issuance.
this was like an interesting thing though. Did you ever have a chance to dig into that
I
at
looked a
all?
little bit through it, I thought initially it was a grant,
Yeah,
but it's a loan.
it's a loan, but it's like a zero interest loan for situations, and there was no, it was interesting because that is how everything operated, but this sounded very much like it had no time cap on it.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a bridge in situations where you were depending on FEMA money to come through and then you didn't get it.
Yeah.
This would be an alternative to paying for some of that accrued debt.
So the only question that I would kind of put back is, you're exploring it and then we would explore it on our end, is if it would jeopardize the tax exemption of the bond.
Okay,
So the FEMA is actually going into the project, but as soon as you use kind of federal funds in the for the debt service, it registers the same as private use. So you could, and I'm not saying you would, it just depends on the level, jeopardize the tax exemption.
Okay.
So, if you get down that road a little, just that's where we'd want to weigh in on,
yeah, for sure.
because the tax exemption is by and large tax exemption and the ag credit is by and large the biggest contributions to this community in terms of that project.
It was just an interesting
Yeah.
thing, like if
Yeah.
we could borrow money for no interest instead of.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe that's one to look into for the,
Remaining,
or the remaining or the aid anticipation, the short-term borrowing
Yeah.
that may be needed. Because if we could get that at 0% and you could earn interest on that money, before you use it, that would
Yeah.
be,
it'd be awesome.
that'd be good.
Is there any other questions for Shelby regarding the sale of the bonds, or everything's kind of spelled out here? And I assume that this available to the public if they requested to as well, I'm guessing.
Say that again?
This would be available to any public if they
Yes.
wanna see it, so.
Shelby handed them out to our audience.
Okay, they got.
Yeah.
When if anybody wants to see it, I'm sure they'll be contacting, they might send you an email, I suppose, if they want to see it, so. But,
Okay,
Do we have verbiage to read for the resolution?
yeah,
do you have what?
Verbiage to read for the
Oh,
resolution?
that's what I was gonna ask too. Vote by resolution or just simple approval.
So I'll stick around and take this back, but you can read. The bolded,
Okay,
capitalized print.
okay. So, resolution awarding the sale of general obligation capital facilities bond, series 2026A in the original aggregate principal amount of $665,000, fixing their form and specifications, directing their execution and delivery, and providing for their payment. I don't have to read the whole thing, I guess we just read
That's
that.
just that.
I think everybody has enough information on that. You resolve it. We would simply take a motion for call the sale of the bonds based on the resolution I worded, or I explained.
I'll make a motion.
Megan makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Brian, is there any further discussion or questions regarding the bond, capital facilities bond? Hearing none, I guess we'd like to have a vote by resolution.
Roll call.
For a roll call, would be Jake,
Well, yes. Warner, yes. Erickson, yes.
Grant, yes.
Jennifer, yes.
Keel, yes. Be it resolved by the school board of Red Rock Central, District 28884 of Cottonwood and Redwood and Brown counties, Minnesota. We approve this call for the sales of the bonds. That pretty much called it?
That sounds good.
Board of the sale.
Okay.
You want us to sign now?
Yeah, or I can wait till the end, whatever you.
No, how long the remainder's gonna take.
Okay.
So there's another agenda item on there,
No.
probably be better to do that now.
Okay.
so we don't have to wait around.
Alright,
So do we need to say Megan and
okay. So I will start that.
okay.
And do board and clerk, Sharon clerk.
Let's sign the first one. They want to sign here, right?
Yep. Tim, that's yours.
No, I agree.
It makes the clerk.
Better than I expected. You know, it's like, throw it into that one. Which when you're talking that much money, it ends up being a lot of money. That's still a lot of interest.
Right.
3 like I say, you know, you get that
You have
6-7 mark, like that's,
Oh,
yeah,
that's-
right, yeah, well over 3.
Do you have the
Almost
next
3.5
I feel
then.
like I'm used that way.
Paid for interest. Pay what you want. Getting nowhere here.
That way I can do this.
Till,
Okay.
till it goes to court. And it's like, you were the truck.
Yeah, she's not.
Can't read my signature anyway.
Okay, I just did like, Megan and Brian make a motion, and we just. No,
It'll be good to get those bills paid.
yeah.
Yes.
Back to the attorney.
You see this? Does it catch your interest?
Maybe.
Excellent. Okay.
Those are signatures.
Yeah.
Excellent. Did you need the motion and second to
Yeah.
read it? Okay. I guess the witness official. We should be in motion for April 1st, right around there you said.
Yep, so, we'll handle the wire instructions, so, that'll go to Jordan, right? And then, we'll just make sure that he identifies that the funds have been received. And those bills can be paid. Easy.
I'll make sure we can track down here
Yeah.
every day and
Yeah,
get this done.
yeah, one more step closer and then, like I said, the last time we'll start working on kind of the cash flow going forward. And then in between here, we've had the rating call, and you, that,
Yes.
okay,
Yep, I have to.
perfect.
Could I have a copy of this one?
Yes, the attorney will send everything.
And I'll get it.
Yep, I'll get it to you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks for stopping the meeting and
Thank
get
you.
that.
Thanks, Shelby.
Thanks.
Before we continue the next item, I just wanted to look, last meeting, the board was discussing whether or not to continue with the April 1st work session.
Oh, yep.
Because, at the time it wasn't decided, I put it on there,
Okay.
so I think it would be a good idea to possibly decide if you wanna continue with that, and if you do not, you cancel it tonight, to, or move to cancel it tonight, and we can get that message out.
That makes it
Because that's next
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday again. So, do you wanna wait to see where we're at the rest of the meeting, or do you wanna?
soon.
On the April 1st, or do you wanna decide at the end of the meeting? I think that'll be fair, but yeah, we wanna make sure we decide for sure whether or not to keep that April 1st work session, so.
Do we have a heavy agenda for April?
You do not.
When, do you have any idea when we'll see a preliminary budget?
Yep, Jordan and I are working on it now.
Okay,
So I'm thinking by the April board meeting, I'll have it in my superintendent report.
okay,
We don't approve it until June. So that gives us, we'll have a preliminary and that gives us time to work on that, so that gives us a few months.
okay. Couldn't remember when we did that, I felt like it was this time.
Usually, well, a good plan of action is to start looking at it in April.
Okay,
And at least advise the board
what we're
some
looking
of the speculations are.
if that's at the 15th meeting and the agenda is looking light.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would need another meeting in a week.
If you're really not much to cover for,
Yeah, they're usually, the next couple of months is just more or less, budget.
yeah. I think we'll decide or give that, before we adjourn, we'll make sure to give the final decision, so. All right, but then our next order of business will be the superintendent contract, which, as we know, the last meeting, we kind of come back here to discuss all options and kind of give respect for where your needs are gonna be and whether, what's realistic for you and your family needs and everything. I didn't know if you had a chance to think more on kind of where you stand or what?
Yes, I think we should, I'd like to just open it up for the board members to give options. I think last time I did a lot of the talking. You know, I would like you guys to do a lot of the talking this time and give me opinions and thoughts.
Yeah, cause right now on, it'd be like, well, I think the best way to say that, 'cause I know it was brought up as options with whether it's, I guess maybe we'll start here, even like a part-time superintendent, we can maybe start at one and work our way up, if I figured, I mean, is that even an option, I mean, even feasible for us to even look at?
So I've been thinking about that, and I think financially, for me, no. A full-time superintendent position possibly, but a part-time, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Which, yeah, cause I know then you'd be able to do remote and all that, but like you said, for financial, then you'd have to rely on, it would really matter on if you found another job pretty much too, if that would be willing to share.
I don't think there's anyone in the area here. So, the only other option would be North Dakota, and I think that would get kind of sticky doing that.
Between two states,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, a lot to keep track too, cause you're lucky to, cause you gotta keep track of 2 different state regulations, I'm assuming.
Which I know them, but I think tax-wise, it would be kind of a burden.
Oh, yeah,
Trying to manage that. Hopefully not another place that's, I have to manage another household, I would worry about that too.
Oh, yeah.
which would go on, which would be, I guess we did the next option. You kind of mentioned that, you said possibly a full-time superintendent, where would that be even an option the board wanna look at, just, and then hire a principal on top of your position?
That would be a board discussion.
We'd have to see what, I think it'd be ideal in a way, but we'd have to see what that would cost for us to have 2
Yeah, 'cause then,
full-time.
I mean, I think that's what the question, right? So that's what everybody has to consider before a contract is. We set out a year ago to test the model, and that's what we've been doing. You know, that was for you to test it, for us to test it, for everybody to see if this was gonna work, and by that I mean the structure, a dean of students and a dual role. I think we've seen it work, and I think there's things that haven't worked. So we are kind of, in my opinion, our district and the size that we are right on the edge of maybe what's manageable for anybody. We're lucky we got somebody that has been doing it for a long time, and we're lucky we have Cody that is a good partner in that. But I guess ultimately that's the question. Is this model sustainable? Is it working? Financially, it's ideal, but on the flip side of that, we can't sacrifice for our staff and students. We can't make it so complicated where you guys are burning the candle on both ends. Because then in theory, the only thing that's working is the financial part of it. So that's kind of where I'm at. We have to determine if it's something that we think is working. And if the answer to that is no, that's where we come up with the solutions.
I'll say, from my experience in small rural districts, looking at PK 12, 433 students, it's right at that point where you could have a full-time superintendent. And a full-time principal, and actually a full-time superintendent at high school and an elementary principal
Okay.
as well. Like I said, the districts I've been in, smaller than this even, we had 2 full-time principals and a full-time superintendent. I'm not saying that that's, what the district needs here, but I agree, you're right,
Yeah.
that being a possibility.
I wouldn't think you need 2 elementary and high school.
I think the dean of students fills
Right,
that.
100%.
Yeah,
That fills that other role.
Yeah.
The second one.
In my opinion.
Mhm.
I would agree there.
in our case, we went down from 2 buildings to there was a transition period, why we kind of had that for a while, but
Right,
we went
yeah.
to one building that made a big difference too.
I've been in a one building district where we had 3 administrators, superintendent, 2 principals. It's not about necessarily having buildings and being in 2 places at one time. It's about the management,
That's true.
and about supervision, evaluation, curriculum instruction, those things. And elementary and high school, you look at content and curriculum, there's some similarities, but they're apples and oranges.
Mm-hmm.
Scheduling is a lot more difficult in high school, but yeah, there's a lot of differences between how you manage or lead between elementary and secondary.
Then we were advised last year that's something to be aware of too. I remember and Greg mentioned that you know, somebody that's a high school principal might not want to take on an elementary principalship to do a K-12 and vice versa, and that's a good point to remember. I think that kind of goes with what you said too on what they're comfortable with and.
I've seen both. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen K-12 principals.
Mm-hmm.
I think right now, and if I did a very conservative enrollment projection that puts us right about where we are now, maybe a little bit less, just to be conservative and smart about it. So that we can budget for that lower number, regardless of what enrollment is, and predict maybe the future after that. But still looking at the number it came up with, you could essentially have 3 administrators. And when you look at a principal job and a superintendent job, there's some crossover, but they're relatively different at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have we have a unique situation with Kobe and how we've structured that too, that changes things a little bit
It kind of
for
goes in.
whoever would be coming in.
You brought that up before too, and you have a dual role. You have a superintendent principal and who's really monitoring or evaluating you, so to speak, in a way, because you have a dual role, so it's,
MSBA will tell you evaluate on the higher role. So there's a lot of districts where you have combined roles. You have a superintendent principal. MSB will say when you do that, you evaluate as superintendent.
which makes it.
So how do you feel that it worked with a dual role?
Well, I'm looking at it from my perspective, one person, and not
Well,
the teachers. So for me, I think considering it's the first year Red Rock Central has done this, I feel confident in both roles. I can say it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Just give an example for today. Well, okay, yesterday. I had a lot of things to get done, but yesterday was a student discipline day. Not a big deal. Dealt with that. Had to put some things on the back burner, but then today I wanted to make sure I made rounds to all classrooms, and I still didn't get done the CT and band and choir wing. But then also had to prepare for this, and then starting to prepare for summative evaluation summaries for teachers, and just a lot of things going on. And sometimes it's planned, but sometimes you can't plan things.
Mhm.
Just, I don't know how to
Things
describe it. What's that?
Things happen.
Things happen, and then there aren't there's periods of time in the year where you have to get a consolidated application done. I need to start working on our achievement integration app. I got sent back with some revisions. I need to get that done. So there's not necessarily, okay, I know this is done in this date. Sometimes I have this window of time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and as I start working on it, then we have something happen in choir that I have to take care of, and
I was just curious if you think going forward it would be feasible. I know financially it looks great to do a dual role, but if you think it'd be better to have, you know, like if you're gone one day, then both of them, both positions are gone, and if you're here, both are here. There's never he's gone, so this guy's here today or whatever.
right. If you wanna look at efficiency, I think having 2 separate administrators would be more efficient if you have the right person in each of those spots. It's and then at the same time, it's feast or famine sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's easy to sit behind a computer and do reports. I've done that for so many years. Those are no big deal. But then when I have that stacked up, I can't be out in the remainder of the school. You know, I got to sit with kids at lunch today. it's been a while since I've got to do that. I will breeze through there and chat here and there, but I don't get to spend a lot of time there lately. It's that time of year as well. I mean, and that shouldn't stop if it's separate, a principal and a superintendent, in my opinion, should separate. I think it'd be more efficient to have principal and superintendent if you have the right people in those positions.
I think I agree with it. But then, that just turns into, how do we make it work between adding another administrator?
Financially.
Financially.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we gotta, I think it's probably okay to do and it would be a needed thing, in my opinion. Even if it is just senior high, which I think would be better just because of Colby's position. And if there's those kind out there that are available that aren't K-12, I don't really know. But
I
if
think
that
you
be the case, that'd be probably.
Try to get the K-12 though.
Yeah, I mean, the
Good.
tricky part is we've promoted Kobe into having all of that responsibility and matched his pay to
Would that
that.
be maybe a less of
And
a
so-
salary then anyway?
Like, it would not be appropriate, in my opinion, to adjust that. He should keep that duty and keep the compensation. Cause he's, I mean,
It's hard to go back, you know.
kind of, like, he's doing it at a high level. So,
Is it possible to get a halftime principal if it's just senior high? Is that?
It's possible, it's just, that's a person, you're gonna either pull in somebody possibly retired that would like to pick that up. In Minnesota, you can do that as an administrator, you can retire and the next day start working again. It's possible, or if you find another district that has a halftime principal that wants to split. I have not seen anything around here that does have that.
I have really only seen split supers around here, not,
I could see that more than
What if-
principal end of it. I think that'd be difficult.
What if they were like part-time teacher, part-time principal?
I've seen that too, Comfrey,
If they taught 2 classes a day or something, or,
yep, Comfrey does that.
cause just for the senior high, it seemed like you won't stay busy all day. To me, I mean, maybe.
It depends. If you have a senior, well, again, I was in a district with just under 300 kids. We had a full-time superintendent, full-time elementary principal, full-time secondary principal. And they kept pretty busy. Well, we all kept very busy. And then I helped with student discipline and things like that too. And that district is still under 300, still has those 3 administrators. I mean, it just depends, really. It's hard to say if one is easier to manage than the other, because it's just so different.
If you went to to put you in a superintendent contract, you'd want that to be a full-time position, correct? Just, I mean, in all reality for financially,
Yes, financially, I would have to have that.
yeah. So then there is also another component of all of this, which is you've shared with us your family situation and your heart being pulled there, needing to be there often, the distance between the two of us. So, I don't want you to sign a contract and then a month from now decide you're ready to move on, and then we're in the same situation that we were in last year, and that was we're fortunate to have you as a candidate at that time, but I don't believe that's realistic in June. I mean,
I would say you're right.
yeah, it was slim, it was bleak. And I just don't wanna be in that situation. So if your intention is to, kinda continue to try to get back home, that's difficult too, cause if you're gonna be here, we gotta have a commitment, a solid commitment before we move forward with that, because unfortunately on March 25th, today, even, we're just a tiny bit, I feel, behind the 8 ball with hiring.
I think that for superintendents, again, from experiences, if you get to the end of April and then you need to hire, that's when you're in a predicament.
Yeah,
April is not hard enough.
we're kind of in the last half maybe, thinking.
Yeah, so March and April are typically when the majority of the superintendent positions open. and understand, you know, there are people out there right now looking for superintendent positions too.
Yeah,
There aren't that many listed. So you have a bigger pool than you have jobs.
We're also-
If some miracle situation came up for me, I could not turn that down,
yeah.
you know. I don't foresee that happening, but
I don't think anybody would, you know, blame you. It's not that at all. We're all supportive of, you know, a family first situation. Unfortunately, we gotta protect, you always say, we gotta do what's in the best interest of these kids.
Yep.
And that's where my heart is at. I don't wanna have to take the leftovers at all. Because a bad leader here in a critical fork in the road situation, and I believe that's where we are, it's critical we have somebody competent in that leadership role. And if that's not you, then we gotta move.
Then you're saying we wanna be reassured that if we come up with a decision tonight that that's what it is, that we're not gonna risk you.
Well, and I don't know if we can answer it, because if we're contemplating going back to a full structure, we have to financially figure out if that's even feasible. I think that's a Jordan question, like what can we even afford? If the answer is
That's exactly what we're.
nothing,
I think that we
then,
wouldn't take the full each,
I get it.
but we gotta be able to afford.
well, and we have to balance that against your situation
Yeah.
too, so, I mean, that's maybe where the negotiating begins, figuring out what that dollar amount actually looks like.
Well, let me talk to Jordan first about that. I think looking what dollars, so we had some retirements.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a little bit of cost saving. We had some retirements, and we hired first year teachers.
Okay,
So those are pretty significant
Yeah.
cost savings. The way we've managed the budget throughout this year, and of course, understand the way I'm used to doing 5 or 6 requisitions from teachers per day. And I don't know if it's been different here. I want to think our teachers have been amazing knowing our budget situation and not putting in for anything unless it was, it's been amazing.
that's not one bit surprising to me.
Yep, I'm very proud of them. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm very proud of them for that because they understand and they have been very frugal in what their needs were. So that's very helpful. There are other cost saving things built in. Again, we have cost saving measures that are gonna continue because of contractor busing, at least in the interim until the 3 years up, then we renegotiate that. We had cost savings because old building's gone, so that's insurance and the utilities, because we had to have some utilities on in that building, so that's cost savings. So there's cost savings there. But I think it's best to talk to Jordan and see what he would project as far as.
I think maybe something beneficial too would be to reach out to the MSBA and just question the structure, question what's reasonable, run a few scenarios by them too and see what has worked for other districts. I don't wanna get in a situation where it's, you know, we're overstaffed again. And maybe we aren't right now, but it felt a little bit, our enrollment has also gone up quite a bit since we first ever were talking about.
So that's changed the
A
numbers too
structure.
from what it was a year ago.
So looking at the combined position, I think if you were to ask me on my end, I feel I've managed the workload fine. I'm used to being able to do that. I can't speak to how the teachers feel on their end too.
Yeah, I think the workload has been fine. I think where it gets super complicated is when you need to be gone.
Yeah.
You know, that's really hard because then there's no person for it to fall back on. And you get into these situations and, you know, we've spoken about this too. You could have 15 people on your admin team and still run into situations where multiple people are gone at the same time in that perfect, you know, lineup of things. It's just, it seems like the odds would be a little better if it was more.
I would say superintendents are gone quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Not vacation, surgery aside,
Mm-hmm.
the meetings that you attend there, I was supposed to be in a meeting today, but I didn't go
Yeah.
with Colby being out and the way yesterday went, I felt there's no way I just wouldn't go. But those come up, I mean, at least weekly, if not more.
Sure. So yeah, and then just the planned time off, you know, everybody is awarded that in their contract in some different kind of pocket, and so then it just creates these situations where, well, crap, nobody's here. So I don't know that I love that part of it, if I'm being honest. I think that just is a scramble and it's not being proactive really.
So, having missed the previous meeting, I have had a couple of conversations since. So I guess to catch up all my thoughts, you know, the shared role, superintendent, principal, I mean, I can totally see where, you know, some remote days can really fit the superintendent position. Now, on the principal side, probably that's a lot tougher. I mean, in my mind, you know, principal would be here, they're like directly involved in a lot of stuff with teachers and students. That would be a challenge. You know, as far as family, I totally get being pulled, you know, different directions, feeling, you know, so much obligation to work and then feeling so much obligation to family. I fully understand and you know that you're not alone in that, and I respect and appreciate your desire to try to be the best for both.
Well, my kids have never been 100% not in trouble or not 100% not in crisis, but for some reason this year they decided to hit the mother load of being in crisis.
So why not? You know, this would just be a little easier if Lamberton was an hour and a half from Fargo and not 4.5 hours from Fargo.
I mean, I'm pretty good about the drive there and back. I just close my eyes and wake up when I get home.
You get a tough
A lot of podcasts, but
Yeah,
You know, but I mean, definitely the dual role has been a financial savings for the district. We definitely would have to look at financial burden if we're to go with multiple administrators again. You know, and Brian mentioned, you know, is there a chance that a teacher could be, you know, part-time administrator? I had thought the same thing, and you know, and even with the current situation we have, you know, with your dual role and then Colby as dean of students, you know, is there a way of working things out that way? And maybe it would be nice maybe to the two of you kind of share some things with the board as to specifics of how that has been working. You know, is it a slam dunk, or is it, you know, has it been testy at times? I guess if we could.
yeah, that's a good question. So the perception I get, at least, so Colby and I work well together as an administrative team. He bounced a lot of things off me. Probably due to my experience, I've pushed him in a couple directions he's an aspiring principals group, he went to one of the conferences. I think we work well together. Colby's also not one to stomp on the ground and throw his hat off and yell. So it's not always easy to tell. And I did talk to him the other day. And he said the biggest thing as a principal, if I'm out of the building and something comes up that he doesn't know how to handle. Now, we've had that happen. You know, on the AESA trip, and we had a possible bomb threat in the building. He and I were talking, I talked him through it the whole time, but he doesn't have experience with that. You know, so situations like that, when something happens when I'm in the building, he'll come and confer with me. Sometimes we'll tag team with this, you know, a difficult situation together. Sometimes I'll walk him through it. I think it's been good. Again, but that's coming from my perception and perception possibly his. I can't speak to how teachers feel about that.
But even on that sense, there's still concern that when you're out of the building, as far as a certified super and principal, it's really hard to just leave it all in the dean of students' hands. I mean, it works, but it's when those situations come up and it makes it, I think it makes you nervous too, as far, it's not right to put that.
No, it makes me nervous when he's gone, cause that's for some reason,
Oh.
all the discipline.
Yeah, that's true,
Cause truthfully, every time he's gone, it's like, oh my gosh, either he deals with it,
This-
either he deals with it when he's here and it's like yesterday and he deals with that and just moves right through it. Or it doesn't happen when he's here.
One of
because-
Right, and you're unable to prepare for every circumstance. But, if you're committed to being available, and, so this is something I used at work and, I showed Megan and it got her interest and, okay, so the XXX
Where
little,
are we going with this group?
uh-huh,
We're streaming, Bruce.
right. XXX, so if, in this situation, yourself with Colby, yourself, if there'd be a teacher / administrator, like I say, you won't be able to plan for every circumstance, but in general, if there's a clear explanation of people's roles, where they fit, how they fit together, that communication, explanation, clear expectations. You know what the job is supposed to be and some of the things that, can or will happen. And then the execution of those positions, again, you can't account for everything that comes up, but, can we really, brainstorm and try to be ready for as many situations as possible?
I think
And
the
so
one
there's,
advantage I have going from being in situations like that, first I've had a lot of different experiences, varying experiences when it comes to school violent threats, threats to school violence, to illegal substances, to someone burning cookies in the parking lot. But aside from that, I think my thing is I know where the resources is. I know where to go to ask, how would you handle this? What do you feel I should do? And that would just be, so say we did go to that situation where we had a teacher, principal, a dean of students and a full-time superintendent. I would just have to direct them and get them cognizant of what those different resources are when that time comes along. And also me being a resource as well. Sometimes Colby said, hey, how do we deal with this? I'm not quite sure, but I'll talk with our attorney first, who can guide us, or I'll contact MSBA, or I'll talk with my director, my state director, but,
So on that model, would you picture that being, would you be part-time, like full-time superintendent, would you bring on like part of this, like a elementary principal role, or are you picturing like whatever that other principal would be, a K-12 principal? I guess that's on,
well, I think that's what the board needs to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we just need more,
but then,
As
Like-
far as the principal goes, I'd rather stay away from the teacher part of it, honestly. I think if we're gonna hire one, then we should.
I think financially, we gotta see what's even feasible. Because I am just not, I know what our prior 3-person structure was being paid, and that was not working. And I'm not saying that we can't change the structure, cause I too think there's a missing link here. I just don't know what that looks like, if it's a full-time principal, part-time super, full-time, what? I'm just gonna be real honest. I hear what you're saying with April and late March. I've been nervous about the timeline since February. I want the best candidate pools if this doesn't work out for us to move forward together. That scares me. So whatever we do, we gotta do it fast.
So I think then, since we're talking about financials, I think the next step is to let me contact Jordan and set up a time and go through this, cause it's gonna depend on what our budget numbers are.
Yeah,
Our projections for next year are gonna be better than the projection for this year, because that increased enrollment wasn't factored in there.
yeah,
But we're still working on negotiations, we have another negotiation round coming up. next year with support staff contract.
Next year with the
Everything.
everything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And
Yeah.
then, well, we don't know what funding is going to be like from the state. They're talking about some, I was gonna update the board during my report, they're talking about pulling back on the increase of this, special ed subsidy, which means it's cross subsidy, meaning we have a special ed program, we get this amount of money for it, one should be this amount of money, so we have to cross subsidize that pulling it out of general fund. Well, they gave us a huge increase a couple of years ago, they infused $250 million into it. And the district's got this huge increase of special ed funding, so it's less of a burden on their general fund. Well, now they're talking about pulling it back. But then they're also talking about increasing the local optional revenue. So there's just so many things in motion. This is gonna continue until the election. That's just until November. They're going to say, we should do this, but no, we won't do this, and that's the way an election year is for the legislature, so we won't know anything.
I just wanna take a second too to be very clear that when I say we have to figure out if this is affordable, what I am not intending to mean by that is sacrificing the output. So there's a cost to not having the structure be what we need to. And if people aren't feeling supported in the way that they need to be, then it's worth the cost. We just need to see what that would even look like at this point. Cause it wouldn't be fair of us to speculate an offer, you know,
Oh, no, I think we need to look at budget. You should
Yeah.
always look at budget before you design any offer or any possible salary.
right? The other thing that was in your proposal that we've talked about too was the remote work during the school year. And I will only speak for myself, that is just something that I'm not in favor of, in any capacity during the school year. Summer, I think that's something that could be workable, you know, we would just have to, we've never done it, again, so we would have to figure out what that would, possibly look like, or a schedule, and it would have to be pretty,
So I think the summer's really flexible for remote,
yeah,
whether it be a couple days a week or every other week or. I mean,
nobody's in the building, so,
Well, there's kids in the building still, I mean, there's summer camps and things going on, we don't have, for the most part, we don't have instruction occurring.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean,
I think the main question too is like financially, if we're looking at changing the model, cause in all reality, nobody's really saying of it, can we even afford the salary you're at now if we take away, or if your workload is adjusted and goes down?
well, it would have to be adjusted
Yeah,
down,
yeah.
you wouldn't be compensated for a dual role if you were no longer
I
doing
wouldn't
that,
request that amount of money.
right?
Okay, we just needed to say that and get that out there to see where the,
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with that.
Plus with the dual rule, which I'd rather see go away, the remote would be out of question to me,
Mm-hmm,
just because superintendent side, sure, you're gonna be gone a little bit. Principal side, no.
it's true.
So it's hard to do.
Yeah, I understand that.
And the other thing I kinda had, is, I know where I was at, but as far as terms, moving forward here, especially if we start this, a new platform would you, in all reality, is a 1 year more realistic and more fair to you than a 3-year? I guess what you're facing for challenges and,
That's something I'd give thought to.
Okay.
I'd have to think about it and talk to my wife, then we always come up to that December timeframe and,
yep.
you know,
I wanna put that out there, cause it's more fair to you, cause I hate to make you feel committed to the 3-year when it's drawn to you, and if you think there's or find some other opportunities where that would give you more flexibility to discuss that and tell us, hey, this is what I'm kind of finding, and where if you're in a 3-year, then you don't feel as open to do that, and you might hesitate and miss out on something that really works for you.
I would have to give it in-depth thought, talk to my wife about it, obviously.
Yeah.
I think first step, look at what finances, where that stands.
I mean, when you talk to Jordan, then basically see all scenarios, both a halftime of each, and see what they all come back at.
There's just a lot of things that we need to pay for. And what this all just boils down to is the crappy financial situation that we are in, because it's prioritizing need and balancing that against a challenging financial situation.
Yeah, I would say if there wasn't that deficit in Fund Six, the building budget, the district would be looking very well cash-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And predictably well into the future.
Yeah, that just sucks.
I mean, again, we have Vopinet coming on board, I was in discussions with them today, we're, working on the,
Is that contract, remind me, that is signed? Yeah, so that's in place, we're doing it,
yes,
Like
we're
that's-
just working through the semantics right now.
okay,
And that part takes time, we've been working on onboarding now for probably a month.
okay,
And they're building the structure, and the platform for us. But again, that's finances you can't take into account for anything.
right,
That would be great for a repair need, or that would be great for, a new ball field or things like that. Definitely that's something you want to consistently include in your budget.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, cause it's not really fair, comfortable for you to just off the top of your head to guess kinda, if you base the budget off what we were 2 years ago, can we even be close to that as far as budgeting a admin team?
From what I've looked, I don't know if the budget looked good 2 years ago.
No, but
Unfortunately, they've been definitely spending on the general fund for
Yeah,
5
we have.
years in a row. But, I mean,
I was kinda thinking those numbers would be a base to work off of, I mean, already, we knew what we were spending in the admin team at that time, so.
yeah,
But then we had being a student, well, we had being a student and a principal and a superintendent, that.
yeah, but that
last
was different, because Kobe was doing K-6, now he's doing K-12,
Mm-hmm,
so kind of the same but different.
yeah,
I mean, him and Greg still shared a lot of responsibility, but just in a different way, I guess.
I would think it'd be close though. I wouldn't think it'd be
yeah,
too
it's
far off.
10% on top, I don't know if that, or even, everything's gone up, and what's a realistic salary or wage for a principal, what would we be looking at on that?
I would say before even thinking about that, you should probably look at what the market value is right now. And that's
That's
easy to find out, but you don't wanna base, if say the board decided tonight, we're going with a full-time principal, full-time superintendent, you don't wanna base it off of just speculation. Because
No.
you won't get the right people, you won't
No.
get the person that you want, if you just base it on a dollar amount, at the do a market value comparison. I've seen it happen a lot, that we're just paying this much, and you didn't get anybody.
Mm-hmm,
Because, just like if you want to get quality teachers, you have to offer them a quality salary at the same time. So I would never just set a price point and say this is all we're paying, I would look at what other districts are paying similar in size, look at what their, structure is too. And you get somebody like Roy Wobbler, who's the superintendent of about 500 or 600 districts in the state.
mm-hmm,
So my guess is no one building sees him that much, this is all
Right.
over. But then he's got good administrators in each building.
correct, yep, like major go-getters.
Yeah.
So that is a key, we always knew that going into this, like if it was gonna work, it was gonna take the right
It has to-
people.
Gosh, for what it's worth, you're not gonna spend money on repairs in this building for a long, long time. There's a cost savings, right? So you're not gonna really dip into LTFM, you'll use it for a variety of different things, like, if we need to replace a window, LTFM. You don't have to worry about a roof for 20 years. So there's that. The cash flow's there, it just you need to figure out what, and I would say don't even consider going in that direction unless you can pay somebody who's high quality, worth their time, bring it here, and it has to be comparable to other districts. Because if they have an opening and they pay $10,000 more, or if they pay $5,000 more, you're gonna lose the person that's gonna go for that. especially with the new principal, because, you know, to them, they'll probably have a family, young family getting started, and that's what they'll be looking at.
Mhm.
But you have high test scores, you have very consistent staff, very low staff turnover, you have great staff, brand new building, those are very good attractants. So there's a lot of stability in the district.
We're also in a rural area, in a town of 800 people. Our district towns are even smaller than that. You know, so it is a niche market that way, just, you know, we were 15 minutes out of the cities, we'd have a candidate pool a mile long.
You would, but I would guarantee you 50% of those candidates aren't qualified.
Yeah,
You know, if you were to post for a superintendent right now, or a principal right now, you're gonna get 10 applicants.
Mhm.
75% of those applicants aren't qualified. I'll guarantee you, out of the 10 applicants, 2, maybe 3 of them don't have a licensure. It's just, there's a group that just apply.
Mhm.
It's just the nature of it. The beauty about being here is you have Redwood Falls, you have New Ulm, you have Marshall. So if you need anything that you can't find here, I just discovered the grocery store in Tracy, and they have roasted chicken. So that's what I've eaten for the last 2 days because I didn't have to cook it. But I didn't know that. I mean, there are a lot of amenities around here, and very affordable. I mean, I run to Maynard's probably 2-3 times after work. I go to Dollar General. I mean, there are a lot of amenities here. Go to eat at the Legion.
yeah, I
The
mean, this
Bruisers.
isn't Carol
There's
Ingalls.
a lot to do here. So in all honesty, Red Rock Central has a lot going for it. Maybe a small rural town, but it's got a lot going for it.
You mentioned about the foods, was it the food service fund that's supposed to help with your salary, right?
Yep, we're working on that. Once Jordan explained to me exactly how we have to do it, it's extremely complicated, so he's gonna have to sit down and show me. It's a sheet that you have to basically track the time you spend doing each of those things. So not just food service, but community ed too. Because in actuality, your community ed director is your superintendent, unless you hire somebody with a 4-year degree in community ed.
Mhm.
You can have an assistant. So that would mean I would supervise community ed, or the superintendent would supervise. Well, that's not good enough to report to MDE. What did you supervise? How much time did you put in this day, that day, this day? And I'm like, oh my gosh, so.
So the reason I asked also is that, does that apply to a principal as well?
If the principal's supervising those areas, or if the principal's working in food service, doing anything, let's put it this way, occasionally Colby helps with lunch count, right? As a bunch of numbers, we can count that time. They call it maintenance of effort, so we actually need to know exactly what amount of time you spent each day or week working in that sector and what was it you did. Very critically detailed, but yeah, it can be done.
Might be a pain,
Yeah.
but worth it, I don't know.
This
Offset
would
some
be fun,
costs and
so you
that.
wear a principal hat, superintendent hat, and when do you wear your chef's hat?
When Bonnie tells me to.
There you go.
Yeah.
Somebody get a picture when that happens.
I've served lunch one time, Colby's not trying to feed time. I made runs to Redwood Falls to get gluten-free food for them 3 times. Just, I've been married for a while, I just do what I'm told.
As much as we wanna get stuff done, just, there's no good real answer here.
No, but we need to get an answer fast.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Cause honestly, I guess I put it out there, you know, I was, with everything that came up, I was more leaning, I don't know how many other ones were leaning towards like, just based on the reasons I explained, you know, on a 1 year, that's what I was really pushed for myself. I didn't, I kinda got maybe that, I don't, if the rest of the board was, that would be the most we'd feel, but
Yeah, I mean, I think it all kind of hinges on how we structure everything. Because I would never want to commit to doing anything long-term before we know if it's going to function.
Well, we have to know the cost before we can.
yeah, we do.
Yeah,
It'll function, if we split the roles, it'll function. It's just a matter of cost.
yeah.
I think that's probably the first.
I think we just need to pin that down, then we can move forward, because otherwise we're kinda stuck.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, I agree. I can't, at this time, I can't even come up with a dollar off the top of my head for any of it. I just need to sit down with Jordan.
Cause we'd hate to just put numbers out of the top of our heads right now. You could get closer and we can, but we don't wanna risk being
I don't know
off.
that I can even get closer right now. I just need to talk with him because our budget, parts of the budget are fluid.
Yeah.
You know, so just have to wait.
So should we just do that, and then get together with the committee, or everybody, or how would you wanna?
I mean, I think it's important for everybody.
So I think,
It's just stuff we could know by next Wednesday.
I can't guarantee that either. It depends on Jordan's schedule. I know they're going through budgets right now too. I'll be able to meet with him sometime, one of these days in the next week and a half. I just can't guarantee what day.
but then when's your surgery again?
The
8th? I think, in all reality, I think we want something,
Prior to that,
yeah,
It'd be nice, but we gotta get together with, George's gotta give us some
Yeah, we've got to get some numbers. And
do you
basically,
wanna just like communicate that,
pretty strongly.
like in an email even, or in your update?
to you guys?
Yeah,
Oh, sure, yeah.
I don't know that we need to meet to discuss what he comes back with, maybe as long as it's clear, but I think in the meantime, everybody just really needs to question for yourself whether or not you feel that it's worked, how it is currently, and then how we think it could work other ways. That's kind of what we needed to do after the last meeting, was brainstorm
Yep.
the ideal situation. Maybe
But
not ideal.
Ideally, it's having a superintendent and one or two principals. I mean, ideally.
Mhm.
If you look at as far as, I'm gonna say, instructional leadership management, it's always gonna be the most ideal to do it that way. Because then you have people that can focus on those specific areas, and that's all they have to focus on.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Financially, ideally though.
Yeah.
The way we've been doing it.
and then balance that against, you know, your intention, if that is even a reasonable situation. Like another 1 year to see if it works, you know, part-time, you said part-time is off the table for you.
Correct.
Okay. Are you sure?
Pause. That would be a huge pay cut.
Yeah.
A huge pay cut.
Yeah.
Managing two homes at the same time. And then, if my wife, that's another thing, that she may be retired finally. So, she's informed me I will be her sugar daddy.
Oh, okay.
Which means I'll take over more of her home bills or household bills.
Sure.
So do you feel like that would help with you being more committed to being here? You know, being she's retired, would she come down for the week or something, or?
I'm trying to talk her into that too. I know she did have an interview for a part-time teaching position today. I don't know, and she says even if they offer it to her, she doesn't know if she's gonna take it, and it's just, so we have to wait to find out about that part and we'll discuss it either way. I had thought, well, what if she came down here a couple days a week and subs, which we can use subs often. So that's an option. And then, you know, if she has grandmother duties, then we won't worry about it during those times, but that's an option, but I know it depends on, she has to buy into that too.
Yeah,
Right.
I just, you know, I've shared with you privately, if you are gonna be here, we need you to really be here, like all in, you know. And I think you are when you're here, it's just difficult when home is not here. As badly as I think we want it to be for you, you know, like that's just a super complicated situation and an impossible commute, you know.
Superintendent Barnesville is a really good friend of mine, we were chatting about this, and he said he did it for 10 years.
Mm.
He only went home the weekends for 10 years. I don't know how, I don't know how his marriage survived, or maybe that's why it survived.
Yeah, I feel like that might be the ideal situation, if I'm being honest.
But I don't know how he did it, but
Okay, well, I think we got some good direction, but the timeline. Excuse me.
So if
Yeah.
Tim gets in touch with Jordan and gets the information, are we open to meeting anytime prior
We keep-
to the 8th?
We keep
Or-
that first,
I think we just have to if we need to.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
we
we keep
can't
that
just say,
meeting,
well, we shouldn't.
you can cancel it,
Yeah.
you can cancel a meeting once you get closer to it, there's no reason to hold it.
I think we keep that scheduled and then,
And since it's a work session, canceling that April 1st meeting is not gonna hurt anything.
Yeah. I would run all scenarios by Jordan.
Yeah.
Not just, what does this look like? Like, try to think outside the box. And then you may wanna call MSBA and just question a few different scenarios too, to see how that's worked for other.
Gary Lee would be great.
yeah, Gary's good to,
There's a couple other people there too that. could do that.
I mean, like the models, like if it's a superintendent with the principal role or superintendent and a.
I know that a lot of,
principal and-
I know that a lot of schools, just being in budget constraints or issues, are looking at how many administrators they have, what they can get by with. It's a hot button topic of conversation, so maybe they can just give a little insight into
They'll
what's
tell you-
realistic.
They'll tell you probably, just like you said, you're right on that fence.
Yeah,
Of meeting that. But they work with all kinds of different scenarios too, different structures.
I think maybe 3 years ago that would have been a little more of a foreign concept. It just
Yeah.
get part-time super. Did it really widely exist?
Small districts.
Small
When I
districts.
say
Sure.
small, about 100.
Yeah.
Student enrollment. But you don't see part-time superintendents that often, not in a district this size. Usually a tipping point is around 300 students,
Okay.
maybe 250 to 300. You typically see a full-time superintendent and 1 or 2 full-time principals. But also budgets were different back then too.
Yeah.
So does it even pay to really give an estimate? Yeah, like you said, it goes with, it's hard to put a cost value on each position before we even know what we can afford, so.
Right.
And to even look for the position based on cost,
Right,
it can be dangerous too, because,
I wouldn't give any estimates right now, that would be in the board's best interest to start bring numbers so you know what you can afford,
Mm-hmm.
and again, if you go with that split and you hire another administrator, you're not gonna get anyone unless you're comparable,
yeah, we need to be competitive.
it's just the way it is, I mean, you can go on the MSBA website and you can look, there are principal positions posted on there, and then you can go on Jobs Minnesota, there are principal positions posted on there. Not a lot. But I think there's a couple of different things that, again, I don't know if it's worth even discussing different variables until we know what money looks like.
Yeah. Agreed. All I know is we gotta find a solution and we gotta do it quickly, no matter how that is, and I would like it to be a mutual collaboration on how we get there, no matter which way that looks like. Just, we gotta support each other and do what's in the best interest of, that's why we're here, to do what's in the best interest of this, them, and the kids, So A1, that's what we have to protect too.
I mean, just a question, like, say we come to a 1-year agreement and then something opens up in May for you that's closer and.
I wouldn't do that to you. Nothing will open up in May that's closer, statistically,
Right, but, I'm just saying if it did,
unless it was like next door to my house, then I would not do that. Yeah. If it was next door to my house, I would definitely do it, but just like.
Well, that's kind of where some of us are at.
Yeah,
Right, I don't.
We don't wanna be in June like last year.
No,
It's, if someone came up in May, I would not do that. I don't know, I can say trust me all I want, but you just have to trust me on that, I wouldn't do that to the district. So,
I guess on everybody that's here, I guess, in my mind, I'd like to see what a superintendent, principal, like we're talking about, try to see if we can make it work, get the numbers and see, be a superintendent, and however we lay out the principal, do it, find a principal, but is that kind of what everybody's feeling?
I
Yeah,
think we have to
that's-
get all options.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to
I mean, I wanna
the-
see everything.
see the numbers.
I'm not
No.
married to any
No,
one idea. I mean,
I'd like to see all the numbers too, but we have 2 people doing it this year, I would think another half person could fill in and just makes sense in my head, I guess. I don't know how that looks or works, but if Kobe does half the principal stuff or whatever he's kinda doing this year. I just hate to go and hire a whole another person, that seems really expensive.
it does. But the same
The
sense,
job's getting done this, the way it is now, so.
with the same sense in the background, it's not, we're worried about the finances, but then there's also a cost if
No,
if the model isn't correct too.
Yeah,
Cost isn't necessarily the finances, the cost is how it's affecting
yeah,
the students and, which eventually will cost us financially, cause if we're not doing a good job with the students, it's,
right, no, I get it, it just seems like,
you don't wanna go broke either.
no, exactly. There's a fine line.
I just
to
question
walk.
if it's a full-time job,
Mhm.
I don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer either, but my gut says it's some combination of a part-time and a full-time. And I don't know if you can do that with a principal.
I'm not saying.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen part-time principal, part-time teacher, but that person's in the building. So even as they're teaching, they're in the building,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have to put out fires. Teachers are pretty good about handling a lot of the discipline problems in the classroom though, I mean. The majority of things that come to the office are things that have gotten to the point where teachers can't handle that in the classroom and continue teaching at the same time. But for the most part, they're pretty good about their classroom management.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'll just work and create some scenarios and say, let's look at costs and have Jordan throw some things out there and hopefully hopefully in a short amount of time, I'll be able to give some cost to the board and create a matrix of what this would cost and
Yeah,
I think
Sounds good.
on your side too, you need to really look at it seriously too, how it's gonna affect your financials on the payroll, just on pay, if you bring on a principal and where you're comfortable and adjusting to.
well, and we have to be comfortable with Jordan's numbers.
Yeah.
So even
Well,
if
of
he
course.
comes back and says, yeah, you could do a full-time super and you could do it at this rate, I wouldn't guarantee that you're gonna get that rate.
No.
what, 250 or?
Yeah, yeah, that's not how we're gonna play
Alright,
around.
there, that one's off the table.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, hold on, I gotta cross that one off.
Yeah. Much as I really wanted to prioritize have this boom boom to move through, so everybody's can move forward and get things done, but I think it's important we do it correctly, I mean,
we have to move forward,
We
so I
do.
would challenge everybody in the next week to come up with our ideal scenario. And then once we have the numbers, balance that against the numbers and what you truly feel would be best for our building. What's happening here and the future of what's gonna happen here. And again, the cost of that might not be monetary. So. But timeline is so important
it
here.
is.
You just want a fat candidate pool if you're not staying. And I want you to have time, if you're not staying, to help transition the things that you've set in motion
It's important.
and mentor, potentially, hopefully, your replacement, if that is the case.
Sure, there's a lot of things in motion that.
A lot of things in motion, yeah.
That's important, because you've set a vision in motion here, and it's not right to just
No, there.
give that, move on and start a new one, and because you've done a great job at helping us lead us through the challenges we've had.
Oh, that would definitely.
Yeah.
I'll get numbers from Jordan. Yeah, we'll see, we'll take it from there. I think that's really all we can do right now.
Yep.
We have our assignment. So we gotta look at the models, make sure, see if it's superintendent principal balance, what we can afford. And then hopefully you can hear back from Jordan. Try to say something tonight to her.
Oh, no, I got everything picked up on the, keep going with that.
Okay. This is important, we wanna make sure it's, a lot of it's based on your concern, and we've gotta make sure that we have a full hammer hitting team. That's it's important to us that if we're like, and for you, like you said, a fed soldier or soldier with home time performs the best, so it's, and if you don't feel that connection home, it's hard for us to expect full performance from you. If you're dragging away from home, you're not gonna have it mentally, so.
Oh, and I know if I'm not home enough, the dishwasher doesn't get empty either. I'm just throwing it out there, but don't tell me what it.
Oh, okay.
But it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Dishwasher gets emptied every Saturday when I'm.
Is that what it is? That's what you're more worried about? No.
But it's true, but don't tell her I said that.
Okay. So we'll set that, the work session, we'll keep that on, and as far as an agenda on that, I can work with you on discussion point. I guess that's gonna be a simple agenda, but.
I think it will depend on the information at the time.
Okay. Then the regular school board meeting on the 15th, how are you
I will probably be remote on that.
remote on that?
Yeah.
That was on my notes here, if you were any remote stuff, you'd have to be in building on the school board days, but maybe I can allow it since you're gonna be laid up.
Right, I would.
Well, you approved.
Yeah,
The
we
board
did
approved it,
remote work,
so-
yep. So, because of that, you can be remote, right? We don't,
I wouldn't be able to drive back.
no,
And I apologize for the timing of this. I was planning on doing it this summer until I saw the surgeon. He said no. He said that would be not be in the best interest of my health.
okay. All right. Well, we'll go from there, and anything else before we move to add to prepare for? All right, well, we'll call meeting adjourned. Whatever,
Tim and
so.
You got the desk
That
where
was
you
good.
work.
That sounds good. I should take that.
Leave it lay on your desk.